Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Yes, we are. Will Kyper and Bourne back in one piece after our excellent adventure to Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah. Team outing. Woo.
We had a road trip.
We did. It was great.
Sammy, are you okay?
Marginal at that.
So,
Those
we're
arena
gonna
beers hit different, boys.
we're going to get into a ton, but not too much different from your experience when you go to the game with Allie, right?
Just exactly the same. No differences. No differences.
That was a level of swankiness and financial means, I think.
Yeah, it was
that
awesome.
I don't have.
We found a buddy of mine. Our thanks to Gibby.
Shout out Gibby.
Gibby.
What a guy.
Gibby.
I like Gibbo better than Gibby.
Gibbo.
I call him Gibbo. But.
Good friends of mine, Michael as well.
Yeah.
We got to hang out with them. They're in a different bracket. They're in a different category. We got to hang out. Wonderful dinner at Modus off King Street to our. And I got to be honest with you, you're not the original Sammy. We met the original Sammy last night at Modus.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Seemed like he knows some people who know some people, that guy.
Were you okay with your pasta?
Yeah, it was spectacular. It was all spectacular.
Some stuff you couldn't pronounce, little seafood.
I
Ended up in
have-
Drake's Shirt Club at one point.
I have something that I was blown away by, Kyper, and I shouldn't be blown away by this, but doing the show, I've come into a modest level of celebrity. I've been recognized maybe 3 times in 2 years that we've been doing this show together.
Does that include police looking for you? Okay.
Walking through the Scotiabank Arena lobby with you, I honestly felt like I was with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, stop it.
Honestly, no. And how many pictures did you take last night?
chanting,
1,000?
shouting.
In the Titanic when he sunk? Is that what you're talking about?
I came out from like our seats and I saw like a group of guys going up the escalator screaming. I'm like, what are they screaming about? And Kyper's at the bottom. You're like, yeah, boys. I was like, what is happening? So yeah, Kyper, I knew you were famous, but I didn't exactly know how famous you were.
Yeah, well, I'm passing the torch. I think I bypassed you, and I'm just going right to Sammy with the torch, JB. Are you okay with that?
No, that's better for me. It's too much pressure to carry.
You're closer to 40. You're closer to my age right now than Sammy.
I will say, and just, so Kyper's buddies, you have 5 seasons, and they are separate. 3 in one place, 2 in another. And they said, you and Sammy take these 2 to start the game. I played goal in the first period. I don't know if you saw me for the Islanders, but we're like you're six rows ahead of us. We're right behind the net. And the Leafs had the puck for the first 8 minutes of the first period.
It was tilted.
I mean, it felt like we were an option. It was like, Mitch, we're behind the net. I got, I didn't dish it, but
absolutely electrifying 8 minutes of hockey
from
the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah. And they didn't score a goal.
I was fortunate enough to play close to 450 games in the best league in the world. And now I sit in those seats 6-8 rows up from ice level. And I marvel at watching guys like Marner come in over a blue line and then turn up and pivot and turn and look at 3 more options that he never had a split second before. Barzell, watching him wind up with those first 3 or 4 strides at that level is mind-boggling.
It is funny usually when you're separated from the play, like if you sit high above, you can see the options a guy has, and you're like, oh, well, you can see this is coming. When you're down there, you get a sense for how through the weeds it is for the guys, the forest of players, and you don't see the options that they find with the same view that you have is when you really go, oh, that's a different level of talent.
Was it in the first period where you watched like Marner do his Marner thing and then
he had the puck for a minute in a row.
And then Hall picked him. He picked him.
Yeah.
And it bounced off about 6 feet away from him.
Yeah.
But that closed up in a big hurry.
Yeah.
And just there's not that much room out there. There's way more room when you're sitting in either the press box or in Sammy's greens.
And you're reminded of the randomness of, the puck is spinning and it's, in the puck battles and you chop at it, like how much randomness there is in a lot of that stuff. Couple takeaways just from being at ice level that, maybe I wouldn't have thought of for a while. Being at that level, Pierre Engvall pissed me off. Because there's no way you can be that big and that fast and shoot it as hard as he does and be less impactful. Like, I understand he had a pretty good game last night, but just watching the first period, Sam and I were like, just skate into the guy. You're a giant. It's frustrating. Go ahead.
No, I would say that it's a frustrating lack of contact from the Toronto Maple Leafs. I grew up watching hockey and guys hitting each other, and the Leafs got hit a lot last night, I thought that the Isles were just bigger than them in a lot of facets. Guys got lit up a little bit here and there. But they just never throw a check. And when you see, like you said, Engvall flying into the zone, you're like, oh my God, that guy's going to put someone through the boards. And then he just immediately stops. It's frustrating.
Deploys the parachute, slows down, yeah.
They were never built like what you're describing right now.
It's never been his style.
Sometimes you go, okay, you want more out of him and hit more, but it doesn't appear like he's being coached that way. He's not coached that way. He was never brought in that way. And this is just more of a philosophy of the hockey club than it is probably the individual. Mm-hmm. At least that's what I've seen. Like, they're not built that way.
Yeah. And what's funny is the complete opposite from him is a guy like Bunting, who you see in person and he's smaller and he's not as fast. And you realize how much he gets accomplished with his brain because he's not physically gifted the way that someone like Engvall is. The other guy we noticed, obviously, Willie Nylander. I mean, when he's really chugging out there, like, you could balance a glass of water on his helmet, just a straight laser.
Unbelievable.
He had that shot off the bottom of the bar. That's like, how does a goalie ever stop that?
He is the guy that, like, on a weekend, CBS is breaking down his swing constantly.
Oh yeah,
and
the look at the level.
Perfect.
That's exactly right. That's
right? There's not many mistakes when
he's Rory's swing, right? You're like, oh, that's how you do it perfectly.
Yeah.
He just a laser out there, and he had that one shot that Sorokin didn't even touch. He put off the bottom of the bar. So impressive player too. The whole thing, really, really cool to see it like that.
Unfortunately, as we said, 3-2 loss, a game that was in hand. Before we go into greater detail, let's just get Sheldon Keefe's thoughts on the game and where the extra point was lost.
Yeah, we played a good hockey game. We deserved better. Played close to perfect third period too, and we made a mistake, and that's the difference.
Who made the mistake?
We did. The team.
The collective we.
We publicly, behind the scenes.
You.
The team that was down 2 D-men playing perfect defense against a good team. Them.
Ah, man.
Is this the hockey gods balancing out what Källgren was able to do in the first 20 games with all the injuries to Matt Murray and Samsonov? Is this just going, hey, at the end of the day, he's your third string goalie. He is a minor league goalie right now. He's not a legitimate NHL goalie, and that's what eventually happens the longer this thing gets drawn out.
Yeah, he's not one of the 64 best goalies in the league or whatever the number is of guys who should be in the NHL. What?
But listen, I'll hear that if he's in the net and it goes under his arm. It's a different conversation totally when he's going out there. He's trying to make it's a Marty Brodeur pass. Like, what are you doing? Just stay in the net. There's head support.
But if you just go on a bigger general scale, giving up a bad goal is giving up a bad goal.
You're paying the price for having the 65th best guy
it's just a guy who's not. It's a bad goal to give up. He's had a few on occasion. He's gotten away with giving up a bad goal in Carolina to start that game. You remember that one?
I do.
And you still found a way to get a W. But that stuff catches up to you. And he's more on the scale of giving up a bad goal a game than he is standing on his head.
Because you have to play your third goalie, because you have a third goalie up, you're behind. Because you have to play him as much as you do because your starting goalie is hurt often, you're really behind, and it's cost them points. It cost them a point against Pittsburgh. You remember the one that went through him against the Penguins? That one goes to OT. This one goes through him essentially. They go to OT again. You end up paying the price, and frankly, the OT winner is a great shot and a great play, but it's the Zegras OT winner all over again. It's the same goal where it's a left-hand shot from the left side that beats you far high glove. no lesson learned there. So, yeah, you pay a price for having Källgren in instead of, one of your guys.
My point is.
Yes. It's just a boneheaded play is your point.
If Sheldon Keefe, if you had to give him the truth serum, what he would rather see in a 2-1 game, it's a wrister from the sideboards beating him clean, as opposed to your third or fourth string goalie going on a walkabout and shoving one into the slot.
Yes, you're right.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
We don't need you to do too much. Just stop the hockey puck when it comes your way.
Goal to give up from his perspective.
Yeah.
A one we've seen in the past, but this one legitimately cost your team 1 point in the standings.
Right. So that takes you to overtime. By the way, before we do anything on overtime, big picture for me, the Leafs were way better than the Islanders last night. Like, eye test, you check out the fancy stats, expected goals both ways. Like, that's a hockey game. They deserve 2 points. I thought they played better. You too? Not enough for you to say it should have been 2?
Everything you're saying is correct. But again, if I'm looking big picture stuff, it's just not another example of a team with no killer instinct to put a team away. And I'm watching Jarnkrok, sorry, with a.
I wish he was Janmark.
With a primo opportunity late in the third period in the slot, one where we've seen before success, hit the net.
Yeah.
Put the game away. And don't even put Källgren in a position to give up that bad goal that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And tell me that the numbers were great. Tell me this. Tell me that. You need to bury them last night.
It doesn't have to be a 1-goal win, to your point. Like, you don't have to win 2-1. You can win 5-1.
You tilted the ice enough.
Yeah.
Put them away.
This has been a flaw there, is that finish.
Now we're into teams that you either underestimate or you just can't put them away. And last night was just another example for me. I don't care what the metrics say. What I care is, could you stomp on their neck?
Yeah.
And they didn't.
No, they can't. They haven't shown an ability to do that. They can certainly play with anyone and outplay most teams. They outplayed the Islanders, but they haven't shown that they're good enough to just create runaway separation from other good teams. And then Sorokin gives the Isles a couple of saves the Leafs don't get, and you go to OT. Now that should be no problem, right? You got Matthews, you got Marner, you got Nylander, you got Tavares.
From your view last night behind the net, God, he's got some nice movement. He's really sure of himself. Sorokin.
Oh, yeah.
Quiet.
And never over pushed. Like, he's just kind of square. He's to the post. It's not desperation lunging.
And a really TV timeout ritual that was, a little strange.
What does he do?
I don't know. He just he's like a turtle, man. He just disappears in this, he just covers his head and he just buries it. And
Sam and I were too busy watching Wilford Brimley shovel the snow around the crease. This old guy, I don't know. I loved him.
That's hashtag goals.
That's the career I want when I'm done with this. Push snow around the crease.
No, but he was like in a little ball.
He was in a little ball.
Yeah,
with his head buried.
I didn't see that at all.
But
okay,
very impressive.
Focused. Yeah, no, very impressive. We had Butch on yesterday, Butch Goring, who said that some people think he's better than Shesterkin, which that sounds like high praise to me. Maybe excessive.
Having sat behind the net,
you're pining.
He looks better than me. I don't know. I haven't seen Shesterkin from that close.
What did we think of, and this is moving forward, going to be the hottest topic, and of course, the Morgan Riley. Leafs have him on long-term injury because of a collision with Paul Murray. But that's not the one that we saw earlier when it came to Austin Matthews and
Oliver Wahlstrom. Yeah.
And then
Sandin.
As Sandin comes in, gets about 18,000 people on their feet, including our boy Sammy. Loving every second of that.
I give him a little standing
golf clap.
Yeah,
he
deserved it.
But the energy off of it was like, holy moly, we're not used to seeing that.
You know what's funny too is
not just from Sandin, from anybody on the team.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like he sees the hit and he didn't like come in like gloves to the ceiling like I'm gonna get this guy. He kind of came over and pawed at Wahlstrom, and Wahlstrom was like, "Yeah, is that what you want to do?" Wahlstrom 6'2", 210, punching downhill at poor Sandin there. Noble cause getting in there for your teammate.
Before we get into Morgan Riley, let's get Sheldon Keefe's thoughts on Wahlstrom's hit on Austin Matthews.
It's knee on knee, so I mean, it speaks for itself. To me, you look at the penalty that Austin had called on him. I think that he threw, and he didn't even throw a hit the last game and got penalized for it because it was deemed unsafe. And I mean, he doesn't get that call, so I don't know.
They got to protect the stars.
Anytime your teams
officiating
on the receiving end of those borderline knee-on-knee hits, you're going to see it. You're going to see it one way, and I mean, I don't blame Sheldon for saying that. I didn't see enough to say that warrants a suspension, if that's what you're asking me.
Well, no.
Would I have pulled a Sandin?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
To me,
I don't even want you looking at Austin sideways.
That's 100% what it is. It's not that he stuck out his knee and tried to, ruin his career or anything. It's get your knee out of the way. It's Austin Matthews. And I understand that Sandin is not the one to drive that point home to Oliver Wahlstrom. But at least, that the Leafs don't want you to do that sort of thing to their star player. Even if you got to fight Bunting or Giordano or Sandin, it's good to let teams know that you will have to fight someone for taking a liberty on your star player.
It's a violent collision.
Yeah.
The Leafs are lucky he's okay. Honestly, that was a bad one. Like, it was over the middle and it looked bad in the moment, and seeing replays, it looked bad. Like, that's definitely one that could put a guy out long term.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I think you mentioned that it wasn't like necessarily a shot or it was dirty. It was just kind of two bang guys, but it was violent. It was a violent collision.
All right, we got
a lot more than the Morgan Riley Palmieri collision.
Yes.
And yet Palmieri stays down, Morgan gets up, and you're thinking Palmieri, the Islander, got the worst of it.
Yeah.
And here we are. Less than 24 hours later, Morgan Riley has been placed on long-term injury reserve. And Leaf Nation is wondering, what the heck is our blue line going to look like tomorrow night in New Jersey?
Sammy said that their payroll for the 6D tomorrow is $7.1 million. That's like Muzzin was making 5.6, Brody's 5, Riley's 7.5.
Mac Hollowell and Victor Mete called up.
Mm-hmm. Did Victor Mete slap Sheldon Keefe in the mouth? How come he's not in and Mac Hollowell's in?
If one climbs on the other one's shoulder, do they get past 6 feet?
They wear a trench coat and play as one?
Can they?
Oh, man.
Yeah, can they? Can we get them some stilts or something? Is this now not the smallest blue line in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, Liljegren 6, Sandin 5'11", Hollowell's 5'9". Who else is in there? Gio's under 6 or 6-ish.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now.
Paul's tall.
He is tall.
He's tall.
6'2",
3,
6'3".
Yeah.
Is he the only one?
Yeah. Well, Jamie Benn or Jordy Benn, what's he?
Jordy Benn, 6'1".
Yeah.
Boys, I'm telling you, even with your Hull and Jordy Benn, you're going to be hard pressed to find a smaller blue line.
Yeah. Well, it's not your blue line. This is not the plan. They're on the AHL team.
I'm just telling you, and they are now 8-9 in depth.
Yeah. Yeah, they're weak.
Nobody has the ability in the National Hockey League today to go to their 9th defenseman on the depth chart and think.
Can I play devil's advocate with this decor for a second here?
Please.
They're missing their 3 best players.
Yes. Thanks, Tips.
And it's it still doesn't look like it doesn't look that bad for missing
Gio
your
Hall,
3
Sandin
best guys.
Liljegren, Ben Hollowell. Ben Hollowell is the only one where you go, it's not part of the plan.
No, but like I think it is a bit of a, we're hard on Dubas a lot, but like I think it's a bit of a testament that he has acquired some depth to this core. They're not unplayably bad when you're losing your 3 best guys.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Sammy.
You're buying into the Sheldon Keefe Kool-Aid right now.
Hold on. Before you go to Sheldon Keefe on this Kool-Aid, can I tell you, I talked to a few people who watch the American League, and I asked for scouting reports on Mac Hollowell.
Okay.
And can I tell you what the consensus that I've come up with?
Speedy.
Yeah, sure. But here was the words that I heard. Plays like Justin Hall, but small. I thought I'd see if I could.
We just lost 3/4 of our Leaf.
Well, it's not good.
But the point is, he defends with his feet. He breaks the puck out. Everything he does is with his feet, right? He gets around the rink. Not a physical guy, but brain and feet.
Okay, Sammy, where are we going to start with Sheldon Keefe talking about either?
Let's do the decor question from last night.
Okay,
the
let's
one where
do
he
the
got
decor.
asked about. Yeah, okay, last night.
Like you say, when we're already missing guys, and Morgan is so important to our team and to our back end in particular, but we lose Muzzin, we made a big deal of it, wasn't a big deal. Brody made a big deal of it, wasn't a big deal. Just got to keep playing. That's the way it goes.
We can find replacements. That's why it's not a big deal.
For everyone.
We're not saying that they're any good, but you can fill a uniform up.
Yeah. It is interesting to be like, yeah, we lost Brody. We thought it was a big deal. Not a big deal. So let me stop you there. Hold on.
No, let's just start like a legitimate shutdown guy in Muzzin.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's a huge
They're all
deal.
big deals.
Yes. Sure. And I fully agree with you there. So I get if you're the coach, your job is to coach the team, convince them that they are fine, and people read what you say. You can't go out there and go, oh my God, you're screwed. Your team is terrible. Like, you can't. So he said what he had to say. I don't know. Can you outright disagree with him? I mean, yes, you can, but can you disagree with him saying that?
Hey, listen, if they rally, if they find a way to, I don't know, grind it out, we're going to come back and we're going to say we were wrong, he was right. I mean, that's what we're down to, right?
Yeah.
They were doing okay.
I don't know. Australia scored against France, right?
Go Socceroos. Anything can
That's
happen.
my World Cup.
Still only 2-1 for France. They're hanging in there. I know. What a day.
All right. So maybe that's what he's going by.
Be the Saudis.
Be the
Hold on, wait. Let me do that.
Be the underdog.
It came out differently than you expected.
Be
There's
the underdog.
some issues.
Let's get Sheldon's thoughts on Hollowell.
Yes.
We just think it's time. I mean, he's put in his time in the minors. Obviously, we have Mete here as well, and we've played him, and he'll come on the road with us and be available to us. But it's when you get into a situation like ours with the injuries that we have, and really you could add Carl Dahlstrom to that as well as another option for us that we're playing without. You got to give a guy like him an opportunity to go. I think he's played well for us in preseason. He's been up here a number of times previously to practice with us, and he's very comfortable around our group. So I think, all things considered, it's a really good chance for us to get him in and allow him to use his speed and his ability to move the puck in an NHL environment.
All right. I no follow up on that.
I mean, we think it's time.
We have no choice.
Yeah, we have no choice.
We know it's time. We're out of bodies. Yeah. Hey, and not to, I want to say the PC thing, like when his mom and dad are listening and be like, let's give him a chance here. But
just give me a chance. Just give me a chance. And that's, hey.
And let the record show, I will backtrack some Dennis Mulligan takes from the start of the season where I was like, I just don't see what he can do when he doesn't score.
You've been Mulligan right out of the league.
Bad day for that because he's out of the lineup tomorrow night.
He is. He's scratched, yeah. Robertson back in.
Yep.
So speaking of the decor.
They announced that already?
Yeah. Speaking of the decor, we got clips on from Sheldon on a couple of guys who are still going to be in, who are going to play a bigger role. One of them, the guy we talked about earlier, fighting. Why don't we hear from Sheldon on him and weigh in on Sandin?
Huge opportunity there for him, not just him, everybody, but with Rasmus in particular, increased opportunity on the power play, more minutes. And I think it's everything you want as a young player, so look to take advantage of it and all of those things. As it relates to Rasmus specifically, I think in the last few games I've seen a real uptick in his play. I think he's starting to show way more confidence with the puck, and obviously, he steps in with the fight and stuff last night. I think that's all sort of different things that add to your swagger a little bit. And aside from the fight, I think he's just really shown a lot more confidence in his overall play lately. So it's good timing in that sense. I think he's in a better place now than he was even a week ago. And obviously he's going to get lots of opportunity here.
Everything you want if you're a young player, and everything you might not want as an older coach.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's not perfect.
Not perfect.
But I do think that, again, we're talking about him trying to, knowing his team hears him. I try to project some confidence onto Sandin. I think I've seen a bit more confidence. Have you? I don't think he looks much different to me.
They've really made it abundantly clear that this is despite the hiccups, he's a confident kid.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he went after Wallstrom, did not hesitate.
Yeah.
So that gives you some idea of maybe the confidence that he does carry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago. We saw good upside with him, and we had him we had him deeper on the depth chart than Liljegren, and we know that's changed now. That Liljegren has surpassed him.
Yeah.
But he's their Morgan Riley now. That's it.
Well, he's going to get PP one time, which is great. I really am looking forward to seeing their power play with Sandin and just seeing if he can be a better distributor, shoot the puck a couple times. The other thing is, and you probably wouldn't have experienced this very much, but being a guy who doesn't fight much or didn't fight much when I played, when I did fight and I came in the locker room, boys love it, right? Everyone is it's back pass and everyone is all over you.
Level of respect goes up a notch in that dressing room.
There was a thing there where you leave the game feeling good. Even if it didn't go great, you showed that you had the courage to get in there and try. Yeah. And I feel like you can build on that. That's I was also mad at Nick.
I agree with you. I think that's an excellent point.
I thought with, when Nick Ritchie was here, it was just do it. Just get a couple of back pats and get feeling good about yourself, but maybe he'll get rolling. Sandin.
I don't think this is necessarily a really bold prediction here. Not exactly a hot take, but I think the power play is going to look a lot better with Sandin.
Yeah, you and I are on the Morgan Riley needs to stop handling the puck too much on the power play.
Maybe this is another prediction. Morgan Riley will not get on when he comes back. Will not get on the
hot take alert.
Number 1 unit.
Yes.
This is about to be fully stolen from him by
Wally
by
Pitt
Sandin.
moment.
Can you find me $7.5 million and up players in the league that aren't on the first power play? Can you do that for me, please?
No.
It's just not even a follow-up. I cannot.
Yeah.
Not at this very moment.
Not a good
homework.
thing.
Homework.
If your team is getting better and Morgan is not involved in a power play, that's a miscalculation on your 7.5.
So maybe it's a miscalculation, but you can't play him just because you pay him. If you don't think he's the best guy, even by 1%, you got to have the best guy there.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's a big ask out of Sandin.
It is.
To carry a team that's supposed to contend for a Stanley Cup on a power play.
You know who's going to be on power play too? Mark Giordano.
Now, the only thing I worry about, and I have always stipulated this from the moment they traded for him, is to not overuse him and not put him in a position to look bad. I do worry about taxing this guy right out with the loss of Morgan Riley.
Yeah, he's a guy, though, that loves to play. He wants to be involved, and he wants the minutes. And actually, Sheldon talked about that a little bit, didn't he? Yeah, okay, let's have Sheldon and then us.
But every time I have a conversation with Gio, he in terms of, do you want days off? Do you want to miss some practices? He wants nothing to do with that. He wants to keep the engine firing. And he tells us that the more he plays, the better he feels. He's a guy that's played in the league a long time and has a certain threshold that he likes to get to stay in rhythm and feel good and all of that. And as he's gotten older, his minutes have gone down a little bit, and at times he's said that that affects him because he's used to playing more. So it's the balance of getting to that point where you're feeling engaged and you find real rhythm to your game, then also making sure you have gas in the tank. That's on us to manage with him, but he's a guy at this point that has shown to me no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, there are signs of slowing down. And it's fine if you're talking about a guy who still had a level of play that is reminiscent of his early to mid-30s, but he's not. So I'm
going to go to bat for him. I think he's been excellent.
It has to be a new conversation.
You don't think he's been?
I think he's as good as he can be, yes. But it's still not good enough at times to be in positions on a foot races to go back to get the puck.
Yeah, in the spot where he slots in on the third pair and he plays like 18 minutes and some of that's penalty kill and whatever. Love him. Love him.
That's the only thing.
$800K?
I'm with you.
Great deal.
I'm with you on every aspect, that you are getting as much as you can out of him now, but it's as a 39, soon to be 40-year-old. It's not what he's used to. So you cannot have the same conversation with him that he needs his minutes and he's felt great when he has more minutes. That was when you were a top 2 defenseman.
For sure. The other aspect of that is he says that that's how he feels his best and most engaged and yada, yada. Well, you've never been 39 before, and you don't know what that's going to do to you when it's January and February and March. And I do think that there is some need to keep him at a minimal minute count. As much as right now, looking at these pairs, Kyper, Giordano Hall is going to play 23 minutes tomorrow night.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
That's, you can't trust Sandy Lilligren against the best lines in hockey.
Against what we believe is the fastest team in the league right now.
I mean, this is going into this matchup, this decor. The only thing I'll say is this decor can skate. Giordano Hall, your mileage may vary there, but Sandy and Lilligren can skate. Hollowell can skate.
You want to throw Ben?
All right, so half of them can skate.
Half. Now you're down to half. Half can skate.
No, there's some real potential. You know what the problem here with this matchup is? What we talked about the other day with the Devils lineup, they get goals from all 4 lines.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can protect anyone.
Yeah.
It's not like you say, okay, Gio and Hall, you're playing Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. It's like, we don't know. We can't protect you because Bastian, McLeod, and whatever the other 4th liner is there, those guys. Wood, who's huge and fast.
Huge and fast.
Oh, God, the Leafs are going to get eaten alive this week.
Stop it. Would you give him a chance?
I'm kidding.
Give him a chance.
But there is some concerns for the decor. What has to happen is their best forwards have to have the puck. They're going to have ozone possession time. Playing when they played the Devils last, they played the first 5 minutes really good in the Devils zone. It's got to look more like that, where you have it, you wait to see the whites of the goalie's eyes before you shoot, and you just have it. That's how you defend.
Do you guys want to talk about 3-on-3?
Yeah, definitely got to get to 3-on-3 before we get to the break here.
Why, is there an issue there?
What are we now? 1-5. 1-5 for the Leafs.
1-5. So just sorting the league by overtime losses. Yeah, most in the league, Leafs. Last year, most in the league again.
Now, when did when did Sheldon, Sammy talk about not probably putting enough emphasis on 3-on-3 hockey? Was that last night?
No, it was last Friday.
Last Friday.
I have the clip. You want to hear it?
Yeah, I want to hear this because I don't think we've talked about it.
Well, there has been a lot of things that we've been trying to sort through as a team, and feel like we've made a lot of progress in a number of areas that have put us in a position to get points, and especially against really good teams and to win games here of late. But that's one that clearly, because we haven't been on the right side of it, has got to be addressed. Normally for me, it's quite far down the list because there's a lot of things that have to happen for you to even get an opportunity to be in that position. But clearly, when it hasn't been going our way here, it needs some attention and more consistency in terms of how we handle that situation.
All right, I have often referred to it as the pond hockey point, but the pond hockey point could lose you home ice advantage and unfavorable first-round matchup.
Matters, for sure. But, you know, I've seen on Twitter some people being like, what do you mean you haven't practiced it? Or, like, where is practicing that on your priority list? You know, between 5-on-5 play and special teams.
But there has to be, with all your analytics and all your doctors and bringing the chef and sleep doctor, like, there has to be some sort of plan for 3 guys out there.
Yeah.
How many times, and I'm kind of sick of watching it, but the regroup is the most important play.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gain the zone, and I'm like, you know how weird it looks to me that you've gained the zone in the game of hockey.
And you don't attack.
And then you turn around and leave.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's goofy.
Yeah.
But it's imperative that you get fresh legs on and you do not give up possession.
Mm-hmm.
And the Leafs at time have been so guilty of that. And again, last night, two missed passes.
Yeah.
Right? On their stretch
Willie
passing.
was great last night, but he threw Matthews a couple grenades in OT.
Like, boom!
He didn't have a chance.
The first one was a laser beam into the feet.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Where he tried to do that play where he kind of kicks it up.
Yeah.
The second one was just a bit of a rolling puck, and Matthews kind of just took his eye off it for a second
And
clubbed it.
If you need to, like, rag it, you rag it.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to, you play out the clock and like your chances in a shootout.
You know, I get the temptation with all that talent, though, to just throw caution to the wind and say these guys will at least win half the games.
It's not working.
No.
And you got to stop thinking like that.
What
you have to go out there and win it.
Yeah.
And I think there's pressure on Matthews and Marner to do that.
Yeah.
That they have to be the difference makers in overtime. And they push the envelope, and it comes back and bites them in the ass.
Want to hear my theory on this? My theory is this is a team who historically has, anytime it can be easy, they let off the gas pedal, right? That's against easier teams, whatever. Anytime you think it's supposed to go easy, it doesn't. In overtime, I think this is a team that looks at it and says, we get to have it. We get to just have it and skate around, and we get to actually, it's going to be easy. We're the talented team, and it doesn't feel like attack. And you mentioned, you know, you start on the rush and you go, I don't like how it looks. And you come back. And then you miss a pass and the other team has it. And they come down the net and they shoot it in your net. Or come down the rink and they shoot it in your net. Trevor Zegras, down the rink, he shot it in their net. Last night, 2-on-2, cross up, shoots it, they score. Like there's no, from the Leafs, it's all the swing back. And I don't know. They think it can be easy. They play it easy. That's the trend with this team. That's what I see.
I think they got the yips.
Put the T's in your left pocket.
They just got the yips. Like,
it's more than yips.
They're yipping. They're overthinking everything out there. They're overthinking everything. It's like when you're coming down with a chance to break 80 and you're chipping one from off the green. It's like you're just...
Someone's been there before.
Oh, yeah. But I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. And you can coach it as much as you want. You can run it at practice. But Bourne's right, too. They're too damn talented for this to happen. Like, I know there's some organization to it or whatever. You can coach it as much as you want. But it is a skill-on-skill thing. And they're gripping the stick too tight. They're thinking about it. They're
Even
yipping.
a guy like Marner, it's almost as if Marner's better 5-on-5 than he is 3-on-3, which is really a strange thing to say.
Is his ability to do it in the weeds. And there's no weeds. Everyone can see him. They just back off him and say, you can't shoot it through us because that's not a strength of yours.
Or just his natural instinct when, you know, things close up on him, which nothing closes up 3-on-3.
Yeah, they just leave him in the ocean of ice. It's not. It is. You know, maybe it doesn't quite work to their set of strengths. You know, Tavares Lurker tends to tip in pucks and stand in front and battle it out. It could be that it's just not to their skill sets. Willie's probably their best 3-on-3 OT guy.
Yeah, I won't argue that.
I think he scored a few OT winners last year, actually.
Yeah, but.
Including the one that switched their season around in Chicago when they were losing.
I mean, McDavid has no problem looking like
he can do it both ways.
Best player on many planets.
Yeah, Matthews should be better, but he's struggled all over the rink. I shouldn't say struggled. He's got 9 goals on pace for 40, but that's struggling for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to get back into that conversation again.
No, I don't really either.
But we're all in agreement.
We got a good convo coming
all day, I guess.
Another game to wait for Matthews to kind of hit that switch.
We actually do have one more clip of Keefe on 3-on-3, or do we not want to? Okay. Well,
Okay, let's take a quick break because we got the head coach of the New Jersey Devils after the break, Lindy Ruff. They're going after their 14th straight win. What's the record, Sammy?
No idea.
17?
I believe
18?
Keith Yandel said on Sportsnet last night that he thinks they're going to miss the playoffs, which was a take.
They were doing okay.
It was a take.
He did say that.
Wow. they're 4 games away from NHL history or tying NHL history. Are we talking about the Penguins setting the record with 17 straight? Sammy, research, bud.
Doing it right now.
During the break. And then we're going to have Lindy Ruff. We'll get his thoughts on getting close to a National Hockey League record.
Yeah, bud.
Okay. I'm Nick Kypreos. He's Justin Bourne. He's Sammy McKee, and we're all back after the break.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Leafs off today, heading towards New Jersey to see if anybody could stop the New Jersey Devils. Let's welcome in our next guest, head coach of the New Jersey Devils, who are looking for their 14th straight win. Lindy Ruff, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm well, gentlemen. How are you?
You got the team in like bubble wrap or anything like that? Like, what do you do with them on an off day, getting ready for the Leafs?
Well, we played a lot of hockey and we got a tough schedule, so we used today as a off day, lift day. Did a little video review and sent them home.
And then the bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Lindy, been well documented. Those first two losses were, I think you guys gave up 10 goals. I don't have to remind you what the fans felt at that point. But then you polished 3 straight wins against Anaheim, New York, and San Jose. You lose to Washington, and then something special starts with a win over Detroit 6-2. Is there anything early where you could certainly not see a 14-game winning streak, but something that really said to you, we've turned a corner?
Well, I can just tell you we had a real good training camp. We had a good preseason. We didn't like our game against Philly. We had lots of chances to score, but gave up what we felt was too many opportunities. The game against Detroit was really a game that we liked, but we didn't take the opportunities to score. And they got some fortunate and ended up that I felt we could have easily won. So we really just stayed with the program. We got better results in Game 3, and we've put together just a real good run. But there hasn't been a lot that changed after Game 1 or 2. And really, it felt that it started from day one in preseason with our preseason contest.
The turnaround from last season is just so stark to me, knowing where you guys finished in the standings last year and how incredible this team has looked. And I should say, it's not just that you guys have stumbled into some wins here. The team has looked fast. It has looked like an elite group this year. What do you pinpoint as the major changes from last year's team to this year's?
Well, I think we've had some maturity in our younger players. We're healthy. We have both Hughes and Hischier are playing well up the middle, and the addition of Eric Paula has helped us. He's been great on both sides of the puck. I think we've got a line of McLeod, Bastion, and Wood that has a lot of speed, has been able to score his goals. So you look at the group up front, we've got good speed throughout 4 lines. We've got 4 lines that are scoring. And they've got a little bit more experience on them. If you go to the back end, I think, you can look at a couple of the acquisitions. You can look at Smith. You look at Marino. I think both players have added a lot to our team, and Marino's been a guy that's played against all the top lines and has played very well. So when you're looking at key areas, forwards, defense, some changes. Some players that have matured. You go to the goaltending. I think the acquisition, Tom's acquisition of Vanacek has been key for us, especially with the Blackwood injury and really just now Schmid stepping in and playing so well in the games he's played.
You've been around a long time, long stints in Buffalo, Dallas. Does this team feel different to you in terms of what you have to work with? And it's not just necessarily, talented players, but maybe just more guys, more competitive guys. What is it that stands out to you?
Well, I think, compete is a big word. And I think we all learned our lessons the last couple of years. I think, we had some really bad luck with goaltenders. The fact we had to use 7 last year, the fact that both our starters were out, it put us in quite a hole. And I think everybody realizes that you need good goaltending. You need timely saves, big saves, and I think even through this stretch, we found a lot of different ways to win, and we've got big saves. You go back to the Ottawa power play that they could have won late in the game and in our building, and we have Schmid go in for Vanacek that got banged up a little bit, and he stepped in. He made 3 or 4 great saves. So there's a lot of different pieces. But I think when you get on a roll, it gets a little contagious. The fire really starts burning, and that is spread throughout the whole team. So, like this, you want to just keep going.
Looking at this group here, I just see a ton of speed, and I even look at the back end, and it seems like a fast group. I don't know that it seems like a big, heavy team, and I wonder, when you coach a team like this, do you say, okay, I'm going to coach to the roster and the talent I have, or do you try to shape them into a way you want to play regardless of who you have generally?
Well, I think I've struck some similarities with this team with our 05-06, kind of size-wise, speed-wise, where, we had a Briere and Drury, and we had Roy, Finneganoff, Thomas Vanek. So we were 4 lines deep. We had a third line that was Roy, Vanek, and Finneganoff. You look at a line like that means your roster is pretty deep, and we're scoring from all those areas. So you look at what we have right now. I think we're even just a little bit deeper with the fact that that line that's called the BMW line with McLeod and Bastion and Wood is a tough line to play against, and a Miles Wood who he's got as much speed as anybody in the league, and Mike McLeod down the middle, who's been great on face-offs and has got good speed himself. So we got a lot of things that look similar to what I had way back to that team.
Got a BMW on a 4th line, man. That's what were we, Lindy? Pickup trucks or beat up Beetles?
I think more like a dump truck.
Really, really impressed when you guys played in Toronto with the blue line. Big, strong, mobile. Dougie Hamilton, a lot of eyebrows raised with a $60 million contract. At times, Lindy, I would watch Dougie Hamilton, and you want more, and you even thought maybe at times a little soft, but I don't see any of that. Speak of his game.
Yeah, Dougie has played really well. I think he had a setback. He started the year really well for us last year, broke his jaw, and I really felt that really had an adverse effect on his game, and seemed to be a little tentative, wore that face mask the whole year, but I think since day one of the season, he's got back to what really makes him a player, and that's getting involved in the offense, getting pucks to the net. Incredible at getting the net with the wrist shot he's got. But, you mentioned the group. I think, big group back there with Siegenthaler, Severson. You go to Dougie Hamilton, Marino. Again, it's a group with a lot of reach. Can cover a lot of space. But I right now I can't say enough about the job that really Ryan McGill has done with these guys and how well they're playing back there. I brought Ryan in out of a very successful program there in Vegas, and he's been fantastic with those guys.
Lindy, I have to take this opportunity while I have you. I don't know if you know this, but my father-in-law is Clark Gillies, and I know you and Clark were close. And Clark used to tell this story about when he had the opportunity to get a coaching chance with the New York Islanders, that he actually handed off the homework to you. He says he got an in-person interview, but you did the homework for him. I'd never had the chance to ask you about this. Is that true?
That's a true story.
Would you fill in the full sheet or what?
Clark, first of all, what a wonderful guy, and dearly miss him. Good friend. Didn't know a lot about the coaching, but it just called me. I got handed all these questions. And I said, well, I can give you a hand with those, Clarky. And so we went through all the questions, and he had the interview. And I guess maybe some of my answers weren't good enough because he didn't get the job.
He said you were a great tutor anyway.
Yeah, you know, what a great guy. So yeah, that is a true story. I don't, you know, I think we went through all the questions. I don't know if I handwritten answers or anything for him, but we went through all the questions. And as you know, there's some pretty tough questions when it comes to how you want to deal with people and, you know, painting different scenarios with stuff you have to deal with as a coach.
We're talking to Lindy Ruff, head coach of the New Jersey Devils, as they get set to win their 14th straight win, or at least attempt one against the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow night. Speaking of coaching, I want to follow up with a quote that I absolutely loved from you. You said you can really know X's and O's really well, but you really got to get to know your players. Close your computer, get to know your players. Hold on for a second, Lindy. I'm going to shut Justin's computer for a second here.
All right, tune in.
Elaborate for me. Tell me where the basis of that comment comes from.
Well, you know, I think you know that every player brings something differently, and I really feel that as coaches we got to know our players. We got to know what motivates them. You got to know what makes them tick. You know, I think you just got to get to know them because. You know, every team has a system, and you can go through the system every day. But I think there's a lot of value in stopping by the lunchroom and having lunch with players, or just striking up conversations with them before you get on the ice, talking about games, talking about previous games, talking about the game, and then sometimes not even talking about hockey. You know, soccer is big right now. Not that I'm a big soccer fan, but you can find out from your players, you know, what they feel. The World Cup that's going on in soccer. So I think there's a lot to gain by just getting to know them, and they get to know you at the same time.
Last one for me, Lindy, is I've heard related to that Nico Hischier there has really been a turning point guy for you guys. Obviously a major leader, but sounds like a guy who everyone is kind of a beloved teammate, great in the room, and is getting comparisons to Patrice Bergeron. Is that praise all justified? Am I hearing the right things?
Yeah, you know, and I've had the privilege of being around Bergeron at the Olympics, and I can't say enough about him. And now I think where Nico's game is at. Great comparison. Both great two-way players. I know Patrice is all about doing things right and playing the game the right way, and offensively, defensively. And I really feel that Nico's game is right there with him. And if you're in the same breath with a Bergeron as a young player, you're in a great spot.
Hey, did you really pull your groin riding a mechanical bull, or is Doug McLean full of crap?
No, that is a true story too. That is that falls in the Lindy did something really stupid category. but you know what? It was a bet with Dwayne Sutter and I, and little did I know, like I rode it the first time reasonably well, and I didn't realize Dwayne paid the guy to turn it way up.
That's great.
So
that is hilarious.
Just another list of some foolish things I've done.
Make sure that's on the list and not things to do while you're on a 14-game winning streak or 13.
Yeah, I haven't seen many cowboy bars around Newark, so I think I'm okay.
Speeches run a little differently when you got a heater like this going on, as Jack Hughes mentioned, or is it just, hey, just another game?
You know, we just try to keep getting better. You know, we focus on different areas of the game from game to game. And, you know, we talked about if we can get this area a little better, or some areas we've been struggling. We talked about first periods of play that, you know, I felt we haven't been great at. So, and we have to deal with now. I think we're a team that's being hunted, that, you know, we know that teams are going to bring their best. You know that they're studying us. They know our strengths. And, you know, usually every coach wants to take away the other team's, you know, biggest strength. So it's being ready to deal with that. So, that's really what we're working on right now.
Well, I know you know all about what's going on with the Leafs and their blue line and the injuries, but that also kind of makes them a dangerous team a little bit on your side.
Yeah, I think it was I thought we played well against them in Toronto. We limited their opportunities off the rush and tried to take away some of their strengths. And again, it'll be those details that'll give us a chance to win tomorrow night.
Really appreciate your time, Lindy. Thanks for doing this, and wish you all the best.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Lindy. Appreciate
Head coach in New Jersey.
Yep. Bye now.
And if anything goes sour for him and they chant again, fire him, you could get a job as an extra in Yellowstone. Riding the mechanical bull.
That's true.
Don't you think?
He seems like a legit, he's got some cowboy skills. Anyone who bets Dwayne Sutter about riding a mechanical bull is pretty confident they can handle it.
I would have bet for sure Doug McClain kind of juiced up that story, but I think he undersold it now that I think about it.
That Dwayne actually paid the guy to juice it up?
That was funny. Yes, it's true. Your story, and then Kyper's like, yes, it's true.
Lindy's like, if you talk to guys who played around Lindy's age, he's like everyone's buddy. Like he's got a lot of stories. Sounds like a fun guy who has managed to stay relevant, by being open-minded and connecting with players. And, he's brought a group of young players to a level where I don't know that a lot of people thought they could get to.
What all-time legendary clip too of him going at Billy Smith.
Have I seen it?
Oh, he's in this on the Sabres, and he legitimately just flies at him. Like, turns around from the blue line, full tilt, and, like, they meet in midair. You never seen that clip?
I'm sure I have.
Oh, you must have seen that clip. Kyper? Am I talking?
No.
How have I?
I'd have to
how
see
am
it again.
I thought you guys are the old guys. I'm the young guy.
So
I'll look it up, though.
What do they need now? They need 4 to tie Pittsburgh.
Is that the all-time consecutive win streak? Is 17 or something?
I think so.
All-time longest unbeaten. I said the Flyers. That's what I was thinking of. Because there was ties.
35.
35.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What? It's a Tiger Woodsian streak.
Yeah. Toronto, Buffalo, Washington, and New York are their next 4. Rangers.
Wow, that's a tough
Toronto,
schedule.
Buffalo, Washington, and the Rangers.
He made an interesting observation about his decor is that they're long and take up space. I called them not big, like in terms of singing to physical guys. Dougie's not physical, Marino, those guys, but they're tall. The way that
they're just hard to play against.
The Raptors defend particularly well because they got these long guys with big wingspans that work really hard. And I see some comparables to the decor of the Devils who are just long and sticks everywhere and in the way. It's annoying. It's annoying to play.
Yes.
Not that you're like worried about getting pasted. It's just like, God, can I have the puck for a minute?
So do they do it?
No. They lose to the Leafs tomorrow.
They do.
It's a Leaf show. What do you mean? No, but I do mean that. I mean that sincerely as much as I'm.
You put money on Leafs to win tomorrow?
If the Leafs are underdogs, I will.
What is it?
That's never the case. The Leafs are never underdogs because the books are too smart.
Their Leafs have to be a dog.
Have to be.
There's no chance they're not a dog, Bourne.
Would they not know Morgan Riley's out of the lineup?
That's a good point.
Matt Caldwell is playing on the D court.
They don't pay attention that much?
They're
just giving away their money?
They do pay attention. All right, you're probably both right. Let me see.
They do look at it rather closely, fellas.
Yeah. The odds aren't posted yet for that. Oh, yes, it is. The Leafs are underdogs. Plus 120 a bet on the... So bet $10 to win 12 additional dollars.
You'll take that.
I would do that. Yeah, I think I will take that.
That's about as good a value as you're going to get in the Leafs.
I mean, Devils minus 142 to beat the Leafs. You don't want that.
They're gonna lose eventually.
That's the theory.
So shut your computer and get to know your players. That's a shot at you with your analytics.
You know what, though? I love that. I truly do love that. I felt when I coached, whatever I did with the Marlies, with Sheldon Keefe, that there was a lot of days that it was like, it was the AHL, you play 3-3. It's like, it's the third game of a 3-3. We traveled 4 hours through the night. Like, throw out the tape. Can we not watch it for a night?
Are they?
By the way, as a video coach, you don't get to not watch the game.
Are they heavy analytic program?
The Leafs?
No, Jersey.
They do have. Yeah. They've got a guy. Tyler Dello, a buddy of mine, was with the Oilers, and now he's with the Devils, and he's their VP of hockey analytics.
Was he talking to him? Shut your computer.
Maybe. No, Dell is the guy they want to have their computer open. I know,
But you could have got away with get to know your players without shutting the computer part in the equation.
That's true. You could have just said get to know the guys.
They are pretty fancy, though.
But
they are an analytics darling team.
Oh yeah, they love a lot of those guys there are good play drivers, and you put them all together and they drive a lot of play. But this is a greater point that Lindy's making here, and I speak with some people who coach in the minors and all that, and it is just like the idea that like let's say in a 3-on-3, would you not as a coach be a little easier on the guys about positioning or in anything? Like, is there ever a day where you just say, go get it done, throw the puck out there and see if our guys can win? Because it doesn't really happen anymore, where the coach just says, I trust you guys, take care of business.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. That there has to be some sort of structure.
You can't lean
this
on him.
is, I think this is the point that, whether he's right or wrong, Jimmy Rutherford in Vancouver, he doesn't see
enough
that type of structure.
They blew another multi-goal lead, Kyper, 7 now.
He sees just throw out the puck and go and try to win a game.
I just think there's times, I don't think, and Sheldon Keefe talked about using his bullets early in the season. You cannot lean on guys 82 games. Like, there has to be some sense of trust where you say, I trust that you're going to be able to bring the energy for a night without me having to kick you in the butt 82 times. I trust that you've got, where to be on the rink. And if you make a mistake, you don't need to hear it from me every time. Like, I just think that some of the best coaches, like Joel Quenneville, some of the guys who've been around for a long time, I can go back to Arbor or Bowman. At some point, you have to just say, to know when to turn it up.
Yeah.
And to know that you can't keep it turned up. And I think that's what Lindy means by get to know the guys as people.
You don't make that decision until you've thoroughly checked out the standings.
Right.
And are you telling me you've won 3 out of 4? Are you telling me you've lost 3 out of 4?
Mm-hmm.
Are you telling me you're on a losing streak? When do you decide that?
So to your point,
games?
The players earn the right to have the coach not down their throat.
I would think that is the major decision on what kind of Sheldon or Lindy Ruff you're getting on a day-to-day basis.
Because early in the year when they're 4-4, Sheldon is like calling out elite players and saying this guy's not good enough. We need more from him. Now they're 10-5, and he's like, Rasmus Sandin is actually the greatest defenseman in the league. You guys have no idea.
Super confident.
Elite. Yeah. We're getting elite.
Finally, we get to have Mac Hollowell in. We've been waiting for this opportunity.
We don't need Riley or Muzzin or Brody.
It's just a matter of time.
So, yes, I would say the lens of the standings earns you a passive coach.
We think it's time.
Yes.
All right. After the break, what do we have? We got Anthony Stewart.
Yeah.
Stewie.
Talk some Leafs.
Is this the first time Stewie's on? Or we found him?
We had him last year.
I know.
I think he's been on one, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't remember.
What?
I think it's the first time.
Yeah.
First time what?
Having him on this year.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit bad on my part.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I think we had him and he blew us off. Or
no,
he's
Stewie,
never blown us off.
He would not do that. He is incredibly diligent with that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's all on you then. You just have not invited him.
It's on me.
Oh, okay. That's a big difference.
It is.
Okay, we're going to have Anthony Stewart, of course, always entertaining on Sportsnet, former NHLer.
Good man. Looking forward to it.
Okay. That and more. We're back. Real Kyper and Bourne.
From the City News 680 Traffic Center, I'm Carling Donahue, and this report is brought to you by Shoppers Drug Mart. We have an issue west 401 west of Avenue in the Express, a left lane and left shoulder blocked with a collision. You're going to find it slow from the 404 Express Collectors to west of Avenue. And if you're traveling onto the westbound Lakeshore, just a reminder, from Remembrance to west of Bathurst, only the right lane is getting through due to construction. Looking for great gift ideas at Shoppers Drug Mart? You'll find gifts for them and get points for you. Shop in-store or at shoppersdrugmart.ca/holiday.
O'Neill, Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne. Leafs are practicing 3-on-3 hockey today.
Oh, the boys must love it. Oh, if the coach comes in, says you're practicing 3-on-3, what a delight.
Would you go with, and let's bring on our next guest, Anthony Stewart. Stewie, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys. How's everything?
Well, the Leafs get the 3-on-3 thing going, I think, a lot better. Would you go with Matthews, Nylander, Giordano first, or Tavares, Marner, and Liljegren first?
I think I'll go with the latter, and here's my theory. They just seem to throw defense out the window the first couple shifts, as you can see by the last couple overtimes. So I think you got to weather the storm because overtime is very, very boring for the first half or very, very exciting. So I think for them, they're a little helter-skelter to start that overtime period. So I go with the guys that are a little bit more defensively responsible. But with this Leafs team, they die by the offense and then live by it as well.
Stewie, would your coaches have put you out there 3-on-3 OT?
You know what? I think so because I was honestly one of the best guys skating through the neutral zone. I was like a young Scott Gomez, and believe it or not, I was always one of the first or second fastest guys on my team. So if they wanted a quick goal for or against and get out of the building because it's you got the hot dogs ready or the chicken wings in Buffalo, they put me out there. I think so.
I would have been in the shower by then.
You don't even need to watch this.
I'd be like a pitcher leaving the mound. I'm done. Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, it is a different sort of hockey. So where are you at on this Leafs team right now? You know, the record is pretty good. The expectations were really high going into the season, though. We haven't had you on the show yet to get your sort of overview on this Leafs team. Where are you at with this team? Are they better than last year?
Well, I think we know the answer to that. I don't think they are. But again, you can't deny the numbers right now. Again, they had the abysmal October where they struggled mightily. They seem to right the storm when things seem to be at a bit of a fork in the road. So they're currently sitting, third, I think, in the conference right now. Mm-hmm. Second behind Boston in their division. They're finding a way to make it happen. But I have a memory like an elephant, a body like one as well too. But I'm going back to Kyper's, Kyper's words last year, where he said, if you want to go on a deep, deep run, you need 9 defensemen. And people were scoffing at those comments. But you fast forward to this year and sort of last year in the playoffs. I don't want to see how they're going to get through the next couple of weeks here without really making a move. You have Muzzin, who is probably the most stabilized D back there next to Brody. Brody's hurt right now too, and now you have your top defenseman in Riley. So for me, I'd have a little bit more faith in Liljegren and Sandin, but they should have went through these growing pains last year or the year before. The fact that they're thrust into the spotlight under this immense pressure right now with so much riding on the line, I think it's too much for them to handle to come in right now as number 3 and 4. I'd like to have seen them be in this position last year so they can handle it. So that's the one concern right now. Yeah, they weathered the storm in November. Now they got to get to Christmas right now where, again, you got families coming in now. You're worried about some other things other than hockey. It could be a recipe for disaster at this point.
Who's got a better chance in the next few weeks to look better, Sandin or Liljegren for you?
It's Sandin. You had the expectations of him sitting out and missing training camp saying, hey, I deserve a bigger role with this team. And I actually believe that. I think he should have got a bigger role, an opportunity a little bit earlier on. But I think now it's time to, put up, as they say, because you're going to have an opportunity right now. There's 3 of your top defensemen out. You're going to probably get up into the 19, 20, 21 minutes a game mark now. Really show what you can do. And I think that's the one thing when talking about this roster right now. They haven't had a guy come in entry level in the last couple of years and really, really, outperform their contract. And you look at all these teams that are competing, they have guys now that are in their entry level really putting up some numbers or really having a big, big impact right now. So for Sandin, he's probably going to get some power play time as well. I'm not sure if they're going to go maybe 5 forwards now on the power play. I'm not too sure, but he's going to get an opportunity to show what he can do. And I think for him, he's just got to keep it simple, make the routine plays routine. He's flubbing on some pucks because I think he's just in his head and the nerves. And that's what we talk about this market. This market's not for everybody. It can make you,
but at the same time, it can break in. So I think for Sandin, again, I think now with a little bit of breathing room and a little bit of cushion, knowing that he's going to be probably playing in the top 4 until Christmas, I think you're really going to see his game really start to break out.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And another guy they're kind of waiting on for that to happen with, to different levels, Nick Robertson. I know his name has been bandied about and talked a lot about over the past month or so, but he's in a weird situation. He sits out, 4 games? Tomorrow he's in, and he's on the line with Tavares and Marner. What are your thoughts on how they've handled Nick Robertson's development so far?
Justin, we've been talking this. We've been talking this since pre-pandemic. We've been talking about this since 1995. No, I think, I go back to Ottawa Senators, right, with Thomas Chabot. They put him in a number 1 defensive role through hell and high water. He was playing 25, 26, 27 minutes a night, whether he threw 1 pizza, 2 pizzas, 0 pizzas. So eventually he turned into that player that, they wanted him to. So I think with Robertson, is he a scorer? Is he a checker? Is he a top 6? Is he a middle 6? Is he a bottom line player? You don't know what you have. And for now going into, year 3? I know there's been some injuries. To really not know what you have with the prospect, I think that's just a failure of the system, right? And again, I'm trying to stay as positive as possible, but that's one player right now, and you're seeing his brother right now stepping into the league, going into a top 6 role right away, putting in a position to succeed. So I think for him,
he fell off a cliff. He Thelma and Louise. He just drove off the side of the cliff.
You go.
No, I'm back.
Oh,
I'm back. That was Nick's agent there saying good job. But sorry about that. Put him in the top 6 role. Leave him there for 10, 12, 15 games. See what you really have. Because, again, it's just we don't know what we have with this player. Again, if you don't think he can play in your top 6, okay, maybe put him down in the Marlies. Let him get some more experience. But him sitting in the stands eating popcorn, I don't think is good for anybody right now at this point.
So it's the system or Kyle and Sheldon not committing enough?
I don't know. Is it safe to say, he's not the coaching staff's cup of tea, right? But I'll chalk it up to, especially to this year, that there's so much riding on this season where it is day to day. So, you're seeing a lot of these movements, players going on waivers, players going up, players going down, calling up guys from the minors. They're trying to figure things out daily. So there's not a lot of stability, I think, in the organization. So I think he's sort of getting lost in the shuffle for a bit. But again, I think for you see what he's done in preseason. He had a really good preseason. He can skate. He can go up and down the wing. He can really shoot that puck. I think he just needs that opportunity. But it's confidence. I go back to, my days where, I had 20 points in the American League one year, and then I went to a camp at Atlanta Thrashers. And I had Craig Ramsey said, hey, I know you struggled last year in the minors. You're going to be on this team this year. Just go out and play. Whatever you think you are in your mind, just go out and do that. Play within the confines of the system, but just go. And I went from 20 points in the minors the year before to almost having 40 in the NHL. But it was just a coach that believed in me, that let me make mistakes, but actually said, hey, just go and do your thing, kid, and don't worry about making mistakes. And I think that's a big, big thing, especially with the young players these days. Give them an opportunity to fail. Don't put them in and out of the lineup. I know there's a lot of expectations in the National Hockey League, but give them a chance to fail.
With Sheldon's attention to defense, and we can hear it constantly in his post-game comments, he won't give Nick Robertson that same benefit that Anthony just mentioned.
No, and he probably should. I love that idea. And, I'm doing an article on Shane Wright right now. Same thing in Seattle. Young guy, turns the puck over once, sits on the bench for a full period. Like, don't you anticipate these guys should have to be allowed to be 18, be 20, make mistakes? I don't know.
Absolutely. And I was told, I was told, Stuart, when Sundin's on the ice, get off the ice. And here I am now almost going on a breakaway. And the coach berating me because, well, I told you, get off the ice. I'm like, I was on a breakaway. Like, we don't care. Get off the ice. So just imagine if you're trying to play that and then you go sit in the stands for 12 games afterwards. Just that confidence. It's all about confidence and being just put in a position to succeed. But, going in and out of lineup, not really having a role, I think that really, really is the main culprit of what's struggling right now with Nick Robertson.
For me, it just depends on where those clubs are. And you mentioned Chabot in Ottawa, team that's been in the basement. Seattle all of a sudden isn't a basement feeder now, right? When Hackstall's job may be on the line again if with another bad start like he had last year. I don't think he's got time for Shane Wright.
Yeah, but you look at a team like Colorado, right, with Bowen Byram. Yes, he is he's a lottery pick, top-end pick. But this is a player that he came in, he had some injury problems. Then he had a major injury where he missed a substantial amount of time, essentially a full year. And did he come back and did they say, well, you know what, let's put him in the minors or let's mess with it? No, they put him right back where he was slotted to be, and they let him play. Just let him play his way out of it. So I think that's what it is, where it's that constant jerking back and forth, up and down, not knowing what you're having. And the fact that, now you're being asked about it every day, it's just a perfect storm of things that's making it bad for Nick Robertson right now. But I think with Shane Wright, this kid was supposed to be the next one up to, 5 years ago, right? So he is a great player. He's a talented player, but that is another situation. You cannot play 6 minutes. Unless you're me, I put up 20 points with 6 minutes with a defenseman as my winger. Shout out to Derek Jocelyn. But as a young kid sitting on the bench, getting cold, getting yelled at, getting bag skated, the kids these days cannot handle that. So you got to set them up for success. Give them the leash. Let them show you. Let them fail. Give them a chance to fail before making the decision for them. I think that's the thing you got to do with today's young players, because the barometers now are the Hugheses and the Matthews and the McDavids, and I'm seeing it now in minor hockey. There's so much pressure. There's kids now, they're devastated that they didn't get exceptional status, and they call it exceptional status for a reason. You have to be exceptional. But I'm seeing it now. There's a wave and generation of kids when they're not coming in and putting up 100 points like they did in Tyke hockey. It's devastating. They don't have the mental health resources to really, really deal with that. And that's going to be a big, big problem now, where people are going to say, what's going on with the players from Canada? Why are they struggling? Why aren't they reaching, expectations? So I'm seeing it on the ground level, and I think it's going to have a triple up effect if they do not address it. It's okay. It's okay to go play for the Rochester Americans for 4 years and 5 years. Derek Roy, Pomdenville, Clark MacArthur, all these guys went down, perfected their trade, learned what it was to be a pro. Sometimes it takes 2-3 years. And you're going to see a lot of players now, especially coming out of college at 23, 24 years old, late bloomers that are really going to be the next generation of superstars in the league, I think.
You know how patient the next generation is right now?
Impatient.
They've had everything. This is one-stop shopping generation. They get everything at the grocery store.
Veruca salt all around. So, Stewie, and let me ask you, I want to ask you about minor hockey a little bit. I was texting with a couple of my cousins. We all got kids in the minor hockey system. Does anybody get to have fun playing hockey anymore? It sounds like it's a machinery. It sounds like it's just meant to churn people out.
You're just starting with your kid.
I know, Kyper, and it's
tough.
a misery already. They're recruiting 8-year-olds.
And this is tough to say, and this is going to actually hurt my recruitment, next year. I haven't won a playoff round. I've been coaching for 8 years, and I haven't won a playoff round. Yeah. And here's a guy that played in the National Hockey League, played professional hockey for 12 years, and I'm coming back now, and it's tough for me to put a winning team in, because I don't preach winning championships and trying to be the first place team, right? I coach teams with underdog players that are considered superstars, and I teach them to play the game the right way. I teach the game in the way that I failed. I didn't play a good two-way game. I was the minor hockey superstar that scored 100 goals, 100 points in my bantam year, junior star. Then I get to the league, I can't play a lick of defense. I didn't know how to kill a penalty. Yeah. So we're teaching these kids to play the game the right way, to have fun, focus on development, focus on skating. Do you know how many kids can't skate post-pandemic, not these 2 years? Skating is awful. So if you're a skating coach and you want to make some money, come on down to the local hockey factory, because you'll make a killing.
Meat market. Come on down.
There's so much emphasis on wins and losses, and it's tough because you're in the buildings and you're seeing the coaches lose their mind, and they're snapping and they're swearing and they're calling the refs for penalties, and I'm just sitting there like, what's for breakfast after this game? Because it's not about the wins and losses. It's about getting the kids better, having them have a fun atmosphere, inclusive atmosphere. But I think it's a symptom of a big, big problem that I think Canada's going to have when it comes to players. There's so much emphasis on winning and being the best of the best. And I hate using the example because he was a really, really good player. My son is Mitch Marner. Why are you trying to turn him into Zach Hyman or Cal Clutterbuck? I'm like, Cal Clutterbuck's going to retire with $20 million in the bank. And he was a fourth-line guy in junior hockey. I wish I was Cal Clutterbuck. So it's like, it's just, the parents, and again, the funny fact is that, these parents are very, very successful in walks of life. But when it comes to minor hockey, and I'm not pointing the finger, they just seem to lose that awareness and those senses. So I've gotten ahead of it, and that's why, my charity, Hockey Equalities, did a deal in partnership with the NHL and the GTHL, because we're trying to do things the right way and not just produce champions on the ice, but good citizens and the next generation of leaders off the ice as well.
I'm sorry. Did you say on our show you can't win a playoff round?
That was your takeaway, Nick?
Do you know our audience,
I'm in
right?
the perfect market. I'm now with the playoff round in 8 years. You got me, Kyper. You got me.
Did you hear that, Leaf Nation? It's not about the wins and losses.
It is, though. It is good to hear. Like my son goes out there and he sticks his straw up his nose and drinks his water that way. And meanwhile, the coaches are like, stick position. It's like, it's not.
Mine do snow angels.
Yeah, it's just intense, man. It's just a game. Anyway, sorry, I needed to get your feedback on minor hockey because I needed to vent.
Nice. One more before I let you go, okay? And you can't give me the old he's having the same slow start he had last year. Where are you on Austin Matthews and your eye test?
Okay, I can't give a political answer here. Again, I don't think he's going to be getting the 70 goals as predicted as before. But I don't think he's getting to those dirty areas as he did last year. I think he scored probably 15, 20, just going around the net, tipping pucks. You saw his goal last night that he scored. I think he had probably about 8 or 9 in that area last year, where that seems like the first time this season that he got a redirect, going to the net. So, again, he could be nursing an injury, bumps and bruises. They call it the tough area for a reason, but he just seems he's more on the perimeter. And, you're looking at the power play, he's rovering around. He's, the 1T option. He's the left flank on the other side. So I think he's just trying to get into the rhythm. But there's that expectations, right? When you score 60-plus goals, you want to do it every single year. But there's nothing wrong with being a 45-plus, 55-plus guy every year in the running for the Rockets. So I think expectations were a little bit high coming into the season. But let's not forget, again, he's a guy that can put up 10 goals in 6-7 games and get back into the race here too. So, yeah, I'll admit it. Yeah, it's a bit off. But the team is having some success. But when the going gets a little bit tougher now in the second half of the season, they're going to need a lot more production and big goals from Austin Matthews going forward.
Anthony, a lot of fun, man. Welcome back on the show. Don't be a stranger.
All right. Thanks a lot. Go Leafs, go.
Thanks, Stewie.
Anthony Stewart, hockey analyst with Sportsnet, former NHLer, and a guy on occasion can make us laugh.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Do you think he kind of touched a little bit? Maybe Austin's feeling the expectations of being a 60-goal scorer, or to win Rocket Richards every year, like Ovi has.
You weren't here on Friday as you were playing Quail Hollow and shooting 83, which is pretty nice if you're out there.
Way to go.
I know, but I had a theory about Matthews and the climb. And you're trying to get first overall, you get drafted first overall, and you try to show you're the best in the world, and you win the Hart, and you win the, whatever, Rocket Richard and all that, some vindication and all that. It would only feel natural to me to say, everyone said to him now, the only thing that matters is team success. You've accomplished everything. It would only make sense to me to exhale for a minute and come into the season and just be like, all right, I don't have to go out right away and prove I'm the greatest in the world every single night. And I know Connor McDavid has that and plays that way. They're different people. I wonder if, not lack of inspiration, but lack of desperation to prove you're that guy coming out of the gate this year.
Yeah, something's there.
Yeah, he's not as dominant.
Oh, my gosh.
He's not particularly dominant.
It was... The last few years, it was McDavid, Matthews, and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And Matthews has not had a season that would show that again this year.
No.
Matthews is now in the mix of others, but it was 1 and 2. And our boy Sammy argued that Matthews once upon a time was better than...
He still regrets that.
takes I regret.
Well,
Number one.
no, you shouldn't, because he was at a level that
Mid-season last year, it was ridiculous.
could make an amateur like you think that. That's how good Matthews was.
He's 4th on the team in scoring, and I know it's by a couple points, but it's funny. Like,
But there hasn't been a sense of McDavid still dominates.
Yeah.
And we have not seen that yet.
No.
Forget about the numbers. Forget about what pace he's on. Just strictly that eye test that made you feel like if he wasn't regarded as the best player in the world, he was the second one.
I know. And I would love to hear from people out there with their own theories, because, everyone no one wants to go on the record and say, I don't know, is he taking care of himself? Is he working his hardest? Is he?
I had, a few people ask me, you think he's in shape?
Yeah.
You think he's at whatever success he's had, is he at the same level of fitness?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't seem to have that extra push or that.
And that's just trying to figure out what it is exactly.
That I always go back to that Dallas game where he just got abused multiple times in that game. The one where he took the hard cross check from Ben.
I hear that theory too, that he's nagging.
He crashed into the boards hard against, it just seems, outside of the Buffalo game where he was pissed off at the Sabres, who he hates, he was so physical early in the year.
He was.
It was just, remember we would come on here and we're like, I don't know who it was, but he smoked somebody early in the season. And it was so great, and we were all excited about how physical we were playing. Do you think there's a chance it just caught up to him quickly?
Here's the thing,
that's not his game, and now he's kind of shying away from it because he's hurting?
But that Dallas game was the 5th game of the year, and I think he had a goal and 2 assists at that point. It wasn't like he was filling the net up till that moment or something.
I don't think it's a physical thing with him right now. I don't think he's hiding an injury or he's
he's just not playing as well. We've all had stretches like that too, but I think it's silly to go, well, his shot rate is still the same or his shooting percentage is down, and once it normalizes, I'm watching the games. He's not getting robbed of 3-goal nights every night he's out there right now.
Wouldn't mind having a down year, tuck 9 already.
Yeah, score 40 goal pace down year.
And had the winning goal until Eric Källgren threw one up the middle.
But they don't appear to be a team that overall, forget Matthews for a second, but overall are this big offensive threat like we've seen.
That could be
in the past.
part of it too. They're just not spending as much time in the O-zone with the puck, creating chances. A
few years ago, they were this high octane team with puck possession and the ability to score and counter attack and fly into the zone. And Matthews had 2 guys draped on his back and still drive into the net. It just doesn't seem to be. They don't seem to be that team anymore, and I don't think they're coached that way.
What's funny is they have the same, or not quite the same, but very good actual possession numbers, but their chances are way down. So they do just have it a lot. They just kind of circle about and they have control, but they don't get inside. And
I was just upset when we were there last night. You're sitting that close, you're expecting him to be really breathtaking that close, and
I don't think he had the puck.
I don't want to say I barely noticed him. He scored a goal, which was a good tip or whatever. But compared to Willie up close and Marner and even Tavares with a couple toe drags and his work along the boards, I barely noticed him at times, which is shocking for what we were talking about last year. So,
no doubt about it.
So you asked Stewie what your ideal 3 is. So the Leafs go to overtime tomorrow against the Devils. Who are you putting out there for your first 3, you two?
So I like Willie. We decided Willie's the guy here. I think their best 3-on-3 player. Can someone defend? Is this from the guys we have available tomorrow? Gio? No, is he too slow to go first against the Devils' top guys? Probably
I
too
would
slow.
think so.
I don't know. After what we witnessed here against New Jersey, is Tavares too slow to be out there 3-on-3?
Yeah, see, I'm not as worried about that because I don't care if Tavares gets passed. I care if the last guy back gets passed a lot.
Which Morgan was caught off the wall.
Yeah.
Taking away a pass that was a least threatening position.
I wonder about, you don't want to bypass the 4 best obvious forwards. So Willie and I guess Matthews, because he's Austin Matthews can shoot it in with Justin Hall. Justin Hall. That's my first guy.
I like Hall.
Sticking with it.
I like Hall.
He'll play D.
If I have one surprising take coming out of the game last night, watching up close like that I got a little bit of appreciation for Hall.
Did not see that coming.
Rangy.
Quite rangy.
Long rangy, good sticks, cycle
Not
killer.
like he's never had success.
No,
here.
I know. But people have been killing him all year. But watching him up close, it's like you see it. He's long, rangy, good stick. Not great with the puck.
No, but he can get it going the other way anyway. Get it off his, out of your end.
Listen, I've said this, that, I don't know how aggressive. I still haven't got a sense, talking to people, how really aggressive they've been to move him or, loses $2 million. But I always saw value for a 6'2", right-handed D who at times can show that he can play 16, 18 minutes a night.
Yeah, no, I think if they're talking about it right now, it's a no-brainer. Like, their D struggles and he's been fine. Like, he's not a problem. Like, Alex Kerfoot had come up quite a bit in the offseason. Would they want to move his 3.5?
For what?
Well, that's a good point.
He's scored like one goal in the last 19 or 20 games.
He hasn't scored since October 20th.
I think he's got,
for a guy that
2 goals on the year?
gets looks with Matthews and Tavares.
You think one might go in?
One off his ass.
He had a really good chance last night. He put it off just.
He has a goal and 5 assists on the season, 6 points, tied with Calle Yarncroc, behind David Kampf.
He needs one of those soccer nets from the World Cup to shoot in.
It's only fair.
Get the guy a bigger net.
Nick Robertson has a 1 point less than him in half the games. It is interesting. He's in a contract here.
So they're bumping him down. He's down. He's now down in the bottom 6.
Kerfoot, Holmberg, and Yarncroc.
What? Right. That is just so.
All right. Let's talk about some other teams.
Just one more note, for Nick Robertson. It is a good move to try to up the pace a little bit with Nick in the lineup. He should help you kind of keep up a little bit.
I just think it's so hard. It's so hard when you're not in and you don't play much, and every mistake you make is scrutinized. Like, I truly believe, I get your point you're making on Seattle and Hackstall, and it's like, if they go out and they're 4-12 to start the season, like maybe he doesn't get to coach the hockey team anymore. So I'll worry about Shane Wright later. I'm going to worry about putting the best guys out there. I get that idea. But I also think for a guy like Robertson, it's brutal to play as a skill guy, a guy who's supposed to create offense, and you're not allowed to make a mistake.
But
what are you supposed to do? It's like, well, make a play. It's like, well, I have to take a chance to make a play.
I get the salary cap has changed the dynamics, but not too many guys got the luxury, unless you are a top pick and you run the risk of embarrassing someone like a scout or a GM, that, here's your chance. Make it or break it. That's all. And we're not patient people, and we'll keep you until we don't keep you.
Yeah.
And for some, that's a short leash. For some, it's a little longer. But from generation to generation, that really hasn't changed. You have to perform when you are given the opportunity.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah, you don't just get to go be bad for a long time.
No, especially the goal scorers. And I was one out of junior. So I've experienced it where it's like, hold on, you scored how many goals in junior? And how many have you not scored so far?
Yeah.
Okay, next.
It is different. Like, I watched, I told you guys I did the Shane Wright thing, and I watched him be above the puck and work on the forecheck and try to do all those things. He's just light. He's young. Like, at 18, I was, made of rice crackers. You could have blown me over. And I'm on the ice, and that's what he looks like to me. But he's in the right positions.
He's 5'9", too.
No, Shane Wright's 6 feet.
No, I'm sorry.
That's what I mean. So this is where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Is
Nick Robertson
I can see what Shane Wright can do if he can't score. I can't see it as much with Robertson.
What would you say
you
do here?
And Nick is 5'9".
Yeah.
I always thought he's a little bigger than that.
Is that right? Is he 5'9"?
I don't know.
I think they say he's 5'11".
Just looking it up right now.
His brother's 6'2".
Not being Nick Robertson, I believe, was a preemie baby. I believe he was a very small kid his whole life. Like he's 5'10".
He's 5'9" on NHL.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
His brother is a beast.
That's tough. Like you have to. You got to be almost built like Marty St. Louis to play at 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah. Well, if you're not going to score, so this is where I've come around on Malgin is that you don't have to hit people and be tough and whatever, but
he's a little guy too.
Malgin.
When we were on the last night, just being down at ice level,
snap his ankles like a wishbone.
He's
kind of looks like he won a contest.
He's a little feller.
Kind of looks like he won a contest.
But listen, I was going to say he tracks the puck hard and gets a stick in there and does it with some conviction, and he gets back on the right side of the puck. And there's times he's going to lose puck battles because he just can't move the men in the league. But, for Robertson, I think that's still a chore right now is being really effective without it. And I know that we've talked about that many times, but it is harder when you're his size, not Shane Wright's size, to do that. And to at least even be perceived as doing that because you look smaller. There is that factor too, some just perception. He looks little.
Well, he'll get another opportunity to win Sheldon Keefe over tomorrow night.
Yes. So, now, you know who doesn't look little?
I was going to say quickly, another housekeeping note. We were talking earlier in the show about guys who were on the top power play unit that make around that kind of money. Somebody texted in, and then I checked it. Victor Hedman, not on the Lightning top power play unit. Sergachev.
See, I'm racking my brain right now, and I don't think that has been the case when they've won their cups.
Right now.
Yeah.
Sergachev is on their top unit.
I'm sure there's some churn, but Hedman, he's been the guy there for years on the top unit.
And shout out Fan 590 host Brent Gunning, who did some Stevie Fallon work for me and sent me a list of all the guys that make over the money that he does.
Love it.
And most of them are on the top units here. I'm searching through, and most of them are on top units.
Yeah.
So
what are you saying? I was kind of right?
Yeah, well, there's first time for everything, Kip.
Okay, what else you want to go with?
Did you watch Jamie Benn fight Josh Manson?
No. Did Zach Hyman watch it? Because remember earlier in the year, Zach and Jamie Benn kind of had that little kerfuffle, and then he just
Ben knocked his stick out of his hand.
Knocked his stick right out of his hand.
Yeah.
So I think Zach probably had a good chuckle from that fight last night.
I was saying to Sammy before the show, like, can you imagine what a wide berth of room that earns Josh Manson for the rest of his career? Like, Jamie Benn is one of the biggest, strongest hombres in the league, and Josh Manson just knocked him out.
Josh Manson's got that pedigree toughness,
See.
Like, is his dad Charles?
Do you know? I think the Leafs. I think the Leafs paid a higher price for Mark Giordano than Colorado did for Josh Manson.
Is that true?
That can't be right.
I think you might be right. God damn it.
Well, so what are you saying? The Leafs wouldn't have preferred Josh Manson? They obviously couldn't have got him, right?
Why couldn't you have got him?
No, there's no way Josh Manson was available and they chose Mark Giordano.
Well, how did Colorado get him?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. Sammy's on.
Sammy, what was the trade?
Oh, was there contract related? What was?
Well, he needed a new deal, and he got a new deal.
He was traded for Drew Hellison and a second-round pick in the 2023 draft.
Okay.
And then Giordano came with Blackwell, right? So it was...
Yeah, Blackwell was useful, and he's an NHLer.
It was with Colin Blackwell for 2 second-round picks and a third-round pick.
It's not good.
Blackwell ain't that good.
Not that good. Yeah, you can X out the third there for Blackwell.
It would have been the fact that they didn't want to give that up, I guess, and lose.
What, didn't want to give up another second?
Well, they didn't
Josh Manson, the exact guy they need?
It's that they didn't want to do that and then lose Josh because you couldn't afford to keep him.
Right.
So what?
It's true. Because
Muzzin was still here and on the books.
And you've already had a couple of bad experiences with Foligno.
But did Josh Manson sign this offseason?
He did, yeah. He signed a nice deal.
Yeah, and what was it, 4?
I'm just looking right now.
I want to say 4.5. He's really effective, and I know sometimes he chops up the puck a little bit.
It was a 4-year, $18 million contract. Cap hit 4.5 mil.
I love that contract.
It's 4.5.
It's a great deal for the
So
Avs.
that could have gotten done if you would have been able to give
Muzzin.
Or Hull. Lose Hull's $2 million and maybe make the decision of moving off of I don't know. Even Liljegren.
Josh Manson is, yeah. Josh Manson's 31. I would not have guessed that.
Me neither.
See, I mean, I would have gone after Josh.
Well,
Manson
yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
At the trade deadline.
For sure you'd be in a pickle, or you would have been in a pickle the offseason with all the contracts. But yeah, there could have been a way around it.
So, Dream Killer, a.k.a. Patrice Bergeron, got his 1,000th point last night.
1,000 points. You know what's really impressive
Just
to me
retire
is
now.
how
Now
you
you're
can
good.
be gentlemanly in the NHL. Like, why aren't people like, no one spears him in the throat or eggs him
No
on
one
after
even
the
looks
whistle.
at him.
They just let him be. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a great player, Austin Matthews, or you're Daniel Sedin, or you're whoever, people come at you and they challenge you. You know, what is the deal?
Has he got that big of a free ride in your mind?
I would say no one challenges Bergeron. I'm not going to call it a free ride. He plays in the NHL, and between the whistles, guys are physical on him. But I don't think guys are in his ear with yo mama jokes or anything. That's what the NHL guys do, right? Yo mama jokes.
You know what the most amazing thing is in Boston is you look at Bergeron and Krejci, and they take up all but $3.5 million on the cap. Now,
Oh, my
Kerfoot
God.
money. By the way, Josh Manson
Bergeron should just quit. Just quit.
Right?
You got 1,000 points. Just quit.
I hear Josh Manson had a no trade to Canada. I got a text. Anyway,
Okay, so he's just not interested.
don't want to be here. Nope, not doing it. But
12
yes, $3.5 million.
1,235 games, 409 goals, 591 assists, 1,000 points for Patrice Bergeron. Cup, couple gold medals.
Man,
Stud.
And still,
Yeah, 18
looking
points.
as good as he's ever.
18 points in 19 games from this year so far.
right back on that Selke
Drives me
track.
crazy. Why didn't he just retire?
Go away. It's so funny. Before the show,
They're 17-2, boys.
Before we came on, I was like, they're not a 17-2 team. I was like, let's look at their. I pulled up their roster. It's like, God, they're really good all over.
Foligno's
I gave
healthy.
them.
He appears healthy and playing well.
I sat beside Kyper and I was like, they're not that good. I was like, Zach is not that good. And went through the list and went, boy,
Is that their only back?
no six, not
He's
that
like,
great.
Greer.
AJ Greer.
I'm like, Greer's had a pretty good run so far.
Grizzlick, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, Clifton, Anton
Boys,
Strawman.
Lindholm, like just a mule.
Stud. They're going to be tough.
Minute muncher.
Like Charlie Coyle's there, 3C, playing with Taylor Hall and Trent Frederick, who's been a really nice, sort of Boston toughness young.
There's talk about Pat Kane to Boston.
What?
Yeah, let him go.
What?
What's he got?
Oh, gee.
This is my nightmare. 14 points in 18 games for Kane.
If they end up with Pat Kane,
I'm probably just going to fold it up.
you're not coming to work.
Nope.
You're done. I'll just find you at the Shear Club in
Oh, yeah, right.
Scotiabank
Yeah,
Arena.
They ain't letting us back in.
I'll definitely get in there without you,
Did you
Kip.
find Drake?
No,
last
I didn't
night?
see him last night.
You didn't see him last
Sammy
night.
was
eh?
singing at the piano bar.
So, couple quick things. Housekeeping notes for tomorrow.
Yes.
Just a reminder, we're only 1 hour tomorrow because of the Canada soccer. A kick in the grass with
Canada.
Dan Riccio and Jeff Blair. Ours truly over here. Derek Brandeo involved, Devang DeSang. And then, so there you go. That's the housekeeping.
So
we're
you
only
waited
an hour.
a long time for this.
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to sleep tonight? Is this like your Christmas Eve?
I am really, really excited.
Match day at the World Cup featuring Canada tomorrow.
So
Unbelievable.
Before I do your show, I'm going to Cafe Diplomatico to do an hour with our good friend JD Bunkus to talk about soccer. So I'll be down there from 10 to 11, maybe have a little light lunch like we had last night. Then I'm heading south up here to do the show with you guys, watch the game with you guys. I can't wait.
I mean,
You're doing a soccer show, you do a golf show, you do our show,
What can
Swiss
I say?
Army knife.
Love sports.
and master at none. All right, our thanks. Lindy Ruff, head coach of the New Jersey Devils, for joining us. Anthony Stewart, always fun, great energy. Our thanks to him. Off night.
come on, Canada.
Don't be going
Get
to the Sheer
in.
Club without me tonight. Are the Raptors going tonight? Sammy? Quiet night?
Quiet night.
Get to bed early, okay?
You know it.
Big day tomorrow. Canada, World Cup. Let's
go, team.
Leafs, Devils. And we're back tomorrow. Real Kyper and Bourne. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Give us a rating and review if you get a chance. Thumbs up on YouTube. Have a great night, everybody.
There's a few things Canadians can bet on. Want to bet that even though it's getting cooler outside, for sports fans, the temperature is rising? Want to bet that when the puck drops, Canadians are all in? Know what else you can bet on? Canada Sportsbook. Sports interaction. Made for Canadians by Canadians who know how we like to bet and what we like to bet on. Want to bet? Go to on.sportsinteraction.com. Ontario only. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca.